Okay, so we talked about school getting started already in some parts of the country. Of course, as we get further along into August, more and more kids will be back in the classroom, and that means more and more tests. The tests will begin. And there is a survey that just came out recently that showed that about 82% of kids said that they feel overwhelmed at the mere thought of having to prepare for and take a test. So with kids returning to school in a couple of weeks, is there any way to make that less stressful? The problem? Test stress. The solution? Tips to study effectively and manage your time. And Rick Kamal is president of EduNova, and he joins us now. Thanks very much for being here, Rick.
It's great to be here with you.
So what is it about tests that causes us so much stress?
You know, it's funny you say that. We've done a lot of research with about 30 leading education experts from major universities looking at those very questions. Why do kids find school in general so difficult, and tests especially? And one of the problems is the way people frame things. You know, we're kind of we trigger on words, and sometimes we just hear the word test, and all of a sudden we panic. We think, oh my God, I'm going to freeze, I'm not prepared, and so forth. And so the best thing to do is actually have a plan to prepare and kind of reprogram and reframe your thinking around tests, so you look at it more as a game than as something that's dreadful.
That's interesting. You know, I remember back to my school days, and I was not the best test taker, but I always felt the best walking into a classroom ahead of an exam when I really could say to myself that I had prepared the best possible, you know, as much as I possibly could have.
Absolutely. And in fact, you know, when you want to perform well, whether it's in the Olympics or whether it's at school, you want to eliminate stress. And the best way to eliminate stress is by being prepared.
So some tips that you have given us that we want to share with our viewers. First of all, use a planner. What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. So, you know, most high school students don't even have a simple day planner, you know, something with just days of the week and a place to write specific events and notes. So we recommend every student, high school student especially, and even starting in middle school, get a planner. Write every major personal and school event that's going to come up, like a test or an assignment. And then learn the most important skill, which is to work backwards from it. So put in all the steps earlier in the schedule that you need to execute on to successfully get that done. And it makes you, A, more proactive, but B, it kind of calms you down and relaxes you that you have everything under control and you're able to better perform.
And when it comes to the night before, you're not cramming, trying to get everything done because you've been doing it along the way.
Exactly, exactly.
The next one, and this has to do with what we were just talking about, prepare for the test in advance. And I was probably one of the best procrastinators in my class, but that's never a really good way to prepare for an exam.
No, it isn't. And in fact, the best thing to do, we have a lot of tips around test preparation. One really good one is to minimize cramming. If you have to take notes during classes, don't just take them and put them aside. The same day, or actually the next day, spend 15 minutes reviewing your notes. And using some sort of template like this, where you write your notes down, and when you review them, write down some questions, some key points, some keywords. That's going to get the information kind of stuck into your head. Once you've done that, once a week, review all your notes that you've taken through the semester. People think it's going to take a long time. No, it only takes about 15 minutes. And what you're going to find is by the end of the semester, you'll have spent a third less time studying overall. You're going to retain the information much longer. You're going to ace your test, and you're not going to have to cram.
Wow. Strategize. How do you strategize? What's the best way to strategize before taking an exam?
Yeah, so one of the really most important things is don't look at the test as something dreadful. Be prepared, be relaxed. So take a few deep breaths as you think about taking deep breaths as you go into the exam. When you're in the exam, should you freeze? Think about, what are you going to do? Well, one of the greatest little tricks we have is just take your hand, take your finger, and start drawing a circle round and round 7 times.
What does that do?
It kind of releases all the tension, all the panic, all the freezing because you're freezing, and suddenly you get a little relaxed and you can step back into the exam and continue without having that panic mode.
Wow, I never would have thought that doing a simple hand motion would be so give you so much stress relief. Now, you brought some other props with you, so as we take a look at these, Rick, first of all, the clock. Tell us about the timer. How would that help me if I were preparing for an exam?
Absolutely. So if you're studying for an exam, one big mistake folks make is they have these marathon sessions. They'll set aside 3 hours or 4 hours to study, and they get fatigued during that time. So they should set a timer for every 20 or 30 minutes.
Well, that's what Red Bull is for, right?
No.
just kidding.
and every 20 to 30 minutes, take a break. Maybe stretch, maybe exercise. Don't turn on the TV.
Right.
Don't turn on the cell phone. But just relax and then get back into it, and you'll be much more focused, and you won't feel fatigued.
How about the balls? What are the toys for?
Yeah, so a lot of people are kinesthetic learners. They need a little motion to learn. They need a touch and so forth. So while you're studying, just play with the squeeze ball. Simple as that. And actually, it's going to help you retain information, or even instead of sitting on a regular chair, sit on an exercise ball and have a little motion, and you'll actually retain information better.
What's with the gum over there?
Well, there's been research over the last 10 years on chewing gum. And what they found is if it's flavored and long-lasting flavor, it actually keeps you more alert.
Really?
Yeah. So while you're studying, chew some gum, or also have some snacks that are nutritious, not high in sugar, but something like nuts or walnuts, etc., to keep you going.
Last question for you. Is there a perfect meal to have, like sort of a breakfast that you should eat that will help you to take an exam as you're going off to your classroom?
Yeah. You want to avoid sugar. That's one of the most important things. You don't want something to suddenly spike your blood sugar and then let you down in the middle of the exam. So something with good protein. Eggs are really good. In fact, eggs are a perfect breakfast in terms of on an exam day.
Thanks so much for coming in. This has been very helpful. I only wish that I had an exam to prepare for now. I'd know exactly what to do. Rick Kamal is the president of EduNova. The website is howtostudybest.com, and we really appreciate you coming on.
It's been great being here.